Wall Street eked out minor gains, largely on hopes of U.S. tariff being softened despite the soft consumer confidence data for March. Stocks in Asia Pacific mirror U.S. market moves. The GIFT Nifty is indicating a mildly positive start for the Indian market. Oil prices climb higher on concerns of tighter supplies after U.S. President Donald Trump threatened tariff against countries importing oil and gas from Venezuela. Brent trades at $73 a barrel. Gold prices also rise, supported by the safe haven demand as uncertainty over Trump tariffs plans remain. Ahead of April 2nd deadline for reciprocal tariffs, a U.S. delegation led by Assistant U.S. Trade Representative Brendan Lynch has arrived in India and will discuss trade and tariff matters with Indian officials over the next 3 days. Both countries are likely to finalize contours, negotiation agendas, terms of reference of proposed bilateral trade agreement. The government discontinues the medium-term and long-term gold monetization scheme due to its performance and evolving market conditions. Existing deposits under the scheme will continue until redemption. Russia and Ukraine have agreed to suspend strikes on energy facilities, which include oil facilities, gas pipelines, and nuclear power stations. The White House also confirmed that the two countries have reached an agreement for Black Sea navigation. Hello, good morning. You've tuned into Power Breakfast on CNBC TV 18. I'm Vinny Motiwala, and thank you so much for tuning in. One more day of green coming in for Wall Street, and Asian markets also are indicating a positive start. So yes, Asian markets as of now, what you're looking at it, Hang Seng has opened up in the green with almost 1% of gains. Taiwan, mild positive on that front. ASX 200, the Australian index, holding on to gains. We're seeing Nikkei, Shanghai, all of them managing to hold on to gains on hopes of a softer tariff coming in from Trump's side. We all are keeping an eye out on the 2nd April date as well. But on that note, let's look at the Nifty implied open. A mild bit of a positive start is what is indicated right now for the Indian markets. 60 points uptick is what we are watching out for right now. Hope this sustains through the day, but as of now, at least some bit of a positive sign for the Indian markets is what we're seeing coming in. Let's look at the handover that we have coming in from the US market now. Wall Street, that ended higher for the third consecutive session. Look at the Dow Jones and the S&P 500 ended with minor gains, while the Nasdaq was the relative outperformance, rising almost 0.5% in yesterday's closing session. Other than that, investors also were looking and shrugged off that weak consumer confidence data that came in. Let's go across to CNBC's Peepa Stevens, who's here to give us the update on Wall Street.
U.S. markets were up marginally across the major indexes in Tuesday trading as new consumer sentiment numbers show a big decline in confidence. The Dow up 4 points, the S&P rising 9 points, and the tech-heavy Nasdaq higher by 83 points. U.S. consumers are feeling less optimistic about our economy than they have in more than a decade. The Conference Board's Consumer Confidence Survey released Tuesday slipped to a 12-year low. The survey comes amid worries over President Trump's plans for tariffs on U.S. imports. The fall in confidence was driven by a decline in those 55 or older, but was spread across income groups. Analysts, however, tell CNBC there hasn't been a strong correlation between the recent confidence data and actual consumer spending. And Waymo announced Tuesday that it's bringing robotaxis to the nation's capital. The Alphabet-owned company says it will launch its Waymo One service in 2026, as long as Washington, D.C. changes city law to allow fully autonomous vehicles to operate without safety drivers. So far, Waymo currently operates in San Francisco, Los Angeles, parts of Silicon Valley, and Phoenix, and is also on the roads in Austin and Atlanta through its partnership with Uber. That's what's happening here in the U.S. Back to you in Mumbai.
Thanks so much for that. But let's listen into Richard Sharma, chairman of Rockefeller International, explaining why he thinks American exceptionalism is in the equity market is ending now. Listen in.
The gap in the performance between America and the rest of the world had clearly reached bubbly proportions. And how do I measure that? I think if you look at valuations, if you look at the price performance, and then you also look at sentiment. Everybody thought that the only place in the world worth investing in is America, and that also was showing up in the dollars overvaluation. So I'd say that what we're seeing now are the early signs of that reversing. And my feeling is that capital has barely moved to reflect this change. So I think that this massive gap which had opened up in performance between America and the rest of the world, which got to be known on Wall Street as American exceptionalism, that gap has started to close, and we still have a long way to go.
Okay, that's all the global market action that we have for you all this morning. But how is all this going to be impacting our Indian markets? We have a team of research joining in with us to set you up for trade, tell you important stocks to watch out for in today's trading session. First up, we're coming to you. Good morning. The momentum of green is continuing on the screen, likely to continue today as well.
Well, that's what Asian markets, that's what the GIFT Nifty is indicating, that most probably we will start off trade today on a positive note. Like we mentioned at the start of the show, very quick wrap of the overnight action, very positive, flow coming in as far as the US markets are concerned. Oil prices largely steady overnight. In fact, Brent now hovering around the $73 a barrel mark. Indian markets yesterday, there was a bit of a divergent trend. The Nifty and the sensex managed to end in the green, and for them, it was the 7th straight session of gains. However, that masked the pain that we saw in the broader end of the markets. Both the mid-cap and small-cap index did see significant selling pressure, snapping multiple gains of consecutive winning streak that they saw. What did well in yesterday's trading session? The cement pack as well as IT stocks did very well. We did see positive brokerage notes on both of these spaces, and those are the companies and those are the stocks from that sector that did quite well. On the other hand, worries about impending tariffs hit pharma stocks hard. The entire pharma pack yesterday was under significant pressure, barring a few noteworthy names. Like we mentioned, Asian markets, GIFT Nifty, all of them indicating a gap start for our markets today.
Okay, a gap up start is what we're watching out for from the Indian markets. But on that note, let's move on and go across to Sudarshan, who's here to tell us which are the important stocks to watch out for in today's trading session. Good morning, Sudarshan.
Good morning, Vinny. So we'll start with first up Ashok Leyland SML Isuzu. So Ashok Leyland has called the board meeting at a very short notice. Also, it will be holding conference call and the analyst call today evening at 5:15 p.m. And the company is saying it has called board meeting and the conference call to update something on the corporate front. Now, we understand from Money Control that company is in the race. Basically, it's one of the contenders to acquire SML Isuzu business. Second is ONGC. Company is looking to invest rupees 3,300 crore in its wholly owned subsidiary ONGC Green, and OGL will use the fund to acquire Ayana Renewable Power, which has a capacity of 4.1 gigawatt of renewable energy assets. Siemens, it has got the final approval for the demerger of energy business, and that approval has come from NCLT, and effective date is March 25 and record date for the allotment of shares is April 7. NCC has bagged 2 orders, and those orders are of more than rupees 10,800 crore, and that those orders have come from BSNL for BharatNet projects in Uttarakhand and Madhya Pradesh. Keep an eye on telecom companies. TRAI, that is the regulator, has recommended widening of infra sharing between the companies, that the infra can be shared between Reliance Jio, Bharti Airtel and Vodafone Idea. Also, it has proposed mechanism allowing telecom companies to lease spectrum from other players. SIS has approved share buyback of 2.6% stake worth 150 crore at a premium of 18% to yesterday's closing price. Battery companies, government has added lithium ion batteries for use in electric vehicles and hybrid electric vehicles as part of core auto components. So keep an eye on battery companies like Amara Raja and Exide Industries. Stylum Industries, government has imposed anti-dumping duty on acrylic solid surfaces imports from China, and those anti-dumping duties will be for 5 years. Federal Bank to acquire additional 4% stake in Aegis Federal Life Insurance for 97 crore, and its stake will increase to 30% from current holding of 26%. Last one is Arvind Smart. It has sold 200 plots with a booking value of more than rupees 180 crore, and that is in Bengaluru.
Okay, Sudarshan, thank you so much for that. Keep an eye out on all these stocks in today's trading session. But on that note, we're going to slip into a very short break. And after the break, we will focus on developments revolving around the White House. So stay tuned in. Welcome back to Power Breakfast on CNBC TV 18. Now getting you the latest on Trump-related developments. We have Dia joining in with us in a special segment, Trump Watch.
The U.S. announced that Russia and Ukraine have reached a ceasefire agreement in the Black Sea, with both sides agreeing to work on mechanisms for implementing a ban on strikes against energy infrastructure. In a statement released on Tuesday, the White House confirmed that 3 days of technical talks in Saudi Arabia between Russian and Ukrainian teams had yielded key agreements aimed at ensuring safe navigation in the Black Sea. Additionally, both sides have agreed to prevent the use of commercial shipping for military purposes. Shifting focus to trade relations, even as the April 2nd deadline for reciprocal tariffs loom, a U.S. delegation led by Assistant U.S. Trade Representative Brendan Lynch has arrived in India and will discuss trade and tariff matters with Indian officials over the next 3 days. Meanwhile, Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney has emphasized that Canada is ready to have serious discussions with the U.S. on trade. According to Carney, top Canadian officials have been in regular contact with White House representatives as they prepare for President Trump's next round of tariffs. In other news, President Trump downplayed concerns over a security breach involving a group chat which accidentally included a journalist and detailed plans for strikes on Yemen's Houthi rebels. Trump referred to the incident as a glitch in a phone interview with NBC News. He also said he was not upset with National Security Advisor Michael Waltz, who has learned a lesson and is a good man, stating that it was a glitch in 2 months and ultimately not a serious one. The breach occurred when top officials sent sensitive information through a group chat that was mistakenly shared with a journalist.
That's an app that a lot of people use, and somebody got on. I mean, I happen to know the guy's a total sleazebag. The Atlantic is a failed magazine. Does very, very poorly. Nobody gives a damn about it. This gives it a little bit of a shot. And I will tell you this, that they've made up more stories, and they're just a failing magazine. The public understands that. He's a very good man. That man is a very good man right there that you criticize so strongly.
It's embarrassing, yes. We're going to get to the bottom of it. I just talked to Elon on the way here. We've got the best technical minds looking at how this happened. But I can tell you for 100%, I don't know this guy. I know him by his horrible reputation, and he really is the bottom scum of journalists. And I know him in the sense that he hates the president, but I don't text him. He wasn't on my phone. Look, I take full responsibility. I built the group. My job is to make sure everything's coordinated.
Lastly, shares of Trump media saw a significant boost, rising by as much as 10% on Tuesday. This surge followed the announcement of a partnership with Singapore-based cryptocurrency platform Crypto.com. The collaboration will see Trump media launch a series of financial products, fueling investor optimism about the company's expanding ventures in the cryptocurrency space. That's all for today. Back to you, Vinny.
Thank you so much for that, Dia. But on that note, we're going to step into a very short break. And after the break, we'll bring you the latest update in the world of commodities. So don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Power Breakfast on CNBC TV 18. Now let's move on. And the Ministry of Finance has decided to shut down the gold monetization schemes from today, considering the improving market conditions. But the existing deposits under the scheme will continue until redemption. However, the ministry mentioned that the banks may continue offering their short-term gold deposit schemes ranging from 1 to 3 years. So that's the latest update that we have coming in on this front. But we have Manisha, who is here to tell us what is happening in the world of commodities. Manisha, again, we have some commentary coming in from Trump, and this morning it's for copper.
Oh, well, absolutely. And, gold really seems to be taking a pause while it is trading very close to its all-time highs. But the metal that has taken lead this time clearly has been copper. And that also in the U.S. markets, where we are looking at an all-time highs above $5.22 per pound. Prices did gain 2.5% in the overnight markets. And with that, we are nearly 30% up for the COMEX copper prices in this year until now. Well, the U.S. president may impose tariffs on copper. Buyers in U.S. are stockpiling ahead. And then there also are reports on how Glencore temporarily halted copper Chile due to furnace issues. Also, markets are looking at further stimulus coming in from China. So everywhere that you look, you are looking at supportive commentary coming in for copper. But how long and how much can this run last is a question mark, because if there are actually tariffs coming in, that would mean lower demand from rest of the world. And the Chinese physical demand also is slightly on the weaker side. So these factors will start to weigh in. In other commodities, you have the Brent crude prices trading at a 3-week highs. You have rubber futures trading at a 2-week highs as well. Silver prices gained up by 2.5% in the overnight markets, with the metal prices also surging. So many of these commodities are trading in the positive right now.
Okay, Manisha, thank you so much for that. Keeping an eye out on copper specifically, as well as other commodities. But with that, we're absolutely out of time on this edition of Power Breakfast on CNBC TV 18. Thank you so much for tuning in. Up next, a Bazaar Morning Call.